All right, good morning. It is episode 62 of the Schulte cast. We ended up with two more subscribers yesterday, so that's nice. Do have logos. I got to fix the logo. I got to figure that out for the algorithms and everything like that. I did like half of them, half the episodes, maybe not quite half. But once you catch up, it's all good. The audio is caught up until yesterday. I didn't do yesterday, so we have some time here this morning and this afternoon, for that fact of the matter. All right, so Schultz was wrong. Jerry Glasco takes the Texas Tech job. And boy, the more I look into this, the more it's like, what are we doing? Right? What's going on here? I feel like there is more to this than meets the eye. And it may be as simple as I saw people suggest, it may be just, his daughter, for, those of us here know that his daughter tragically passed away, I think right before the 19 season. I was right here. And so he started the 18 season. And so his daughter tragically passed right before the 19 season. And so maybe he just hasn't dealt with that emotionally and he can't get away from it. And that's as easy an explanation as you need. If that's it, that's it. All right. There's nothing to question. There's nothing to criticize. It's tough enough as a parent. I don't think you ever get over that, right? I'm not a parent or anything like that, but I don't think as a parent, they say you never get over burying your kid. And this is not someone who was sick and you could see it coming. This was a car accident that she tragically died in. But he's not rebuilding Texas Tech. He's building Texas Tech. Right? The Cajuns have 88, 89 straight, something like that, winning series in the Sun Belt. Texas Tech has 3 winning seasons in the Sun Belt dating back to 1996. Like this is the bottom feeder. I mean, they actually put out yesterday in a tweet, for the first time ever, they're selling season tickets. Right? And Texas Tech has never sold season tickets. So there's something going on here behind the scenes. I don't know if he got a raise following last year's run to the Super Regionals. Following 22, he hadn't gotten a raise. He was still getting the same amount of money, but his contract had been extended a couple of times. But he's still making $170,000, so there was no more raise, following 22. I don't know if he got a raise 23. I just don't know. And I don't know what it would be. If he was making 170, did he get to 225? That's a big chunk, right? I don't know. Word is that he didn't get much more money going to Texas Tech. That's the thing. Someone suggesting, well, I'll say someone, Foot suggesting, maybe they're all in on NIL. I don't know. Someone else suggesting to me that mid Big 12 is better than winning the Sun Belt. And I go, well, not anymore. Not without Texas and Oklahoma. Without Texas and Oklahoma being mid Big 12, as the kids would say, is mid. That's not great. He's 65. And yes, you have NIL and you have the portal. And I'm sure he's going to get some of the girls from, the Cajuns to go. And if I was the girls with the Cajuns, I would, and someone's telling me I'm getting NIL, I would make sure that I'm getting that money. And you want me to come and leave this behind and follow my coach, make sure you get it. I don't care how much you're getting. I'm sure it's not going to be that much money, right? I don't think anyone's getting $100,000 or anything like that. But if you're going to pony up $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, you better make sure you're getting that. You still have Oklahoma State. You still have Baylor. UCF is in the conference now, but Houston isn't very good. And, I think there's something more behind. I don't know what it is other than his daughter, which is a legitimate explanation, right? I just got to get away. I every time I hop on I-10 where the accident happened, I break down and cry, right? And so whatever the case is with that. And so I'm fascinated to find out if it's more than that. It may not be more than that. And Jerry's the kind of guy who's going to tell you. That's the thing. Jerry is not very good at coach speak. he tells you what he's thinking. Yeah, he tells you what he's thinking. So we do wish him the best. I absolutely wish him the best. He's a very nice man. His wife's, a very nice woman. The Cajuns fell short last year. They kind of got snake bit when they had to go out to Washington and McNeese blowing that late lead. And, they didn't play well in the regional this year. They just did. They should have beaten Baylor. Defensively, they didn't play very well. They did come back and, they got run ruled and they run ruled Baylor. And they didn't play well defensively. I'd say they ran out of pitching, but they really didn't, right? Didn't they lose the last game 4-3? So they didn't really run out of pitching. They just didn't play good defensively, and that was the difference in that regional. But I don't know if they were getting to a super regional. I don't know if they were getting to Oklahoma City. And to me, that's the goal. I mean, I know everyone's goal is to win a national championship, but the Cajuns are not on that level. I don't know if they've ever been on that level. That's a different level when you're playing Oklahoma and Texas and Stanford. That's a different level than Cajun softball is. And I think getting to a regional or super regional is pretty good. That's pretty good. I don't know if I'm lowering the standard, but let's see, did anyone get there this year? Let's see here. Softball bracket. Let's see what comes up first thing. Let's see who got to the World Series. Texas. Alabama. Stanford. UCLA. Oklahoma State. Duke. Oklahoma. And Florida. All Power 5, right? Not even close. Did anybody actually, did you have a group of 5 win a regional? No. You didn't, right? Oklahoma and Florida State won. Duke and Missouri won. UCLA and Georgia won. Alabama and Tennessee won. Texas and A&M won. LSU and Stanford won. Oklahoma State and Arizona won. Baylor and Florida won. So there's not even a group of 5 school in that mix. And, here's where I'm going to call a little BS. All right. Don't try and tell me you can win more at Texas Tech. I'm not buying that. No. That one I'm not going to buy. You have a better chance of winning, and especially in 25. It may have to turn over a little bit after that, and just getting to a regional may be what happens. Although that's never been if you win the Sun Belt Conference tournament, you're gonna do well. You get there automatically, and that's usually what they do anyway. But yeah, you can't. That's like someone back in the day before they got good. Right, taking the biggest contract to go play for the Lions or the Jaguars and telling me, well, I'm here to win. No, you're here to grab the money, which is okay. I don't mind that. They were paying the most money. You never hear that. It'd be great. Why did you decide to sign with the Jaguars? Well, I like the direction of the program. I like the quarterback, right? We like the new coach. But to be honest with you, they offered the most money. Wouldn't that be refreshing, right? And so if Texas Tech isn't offering a big bump in pay, right, and whatever you might consider a big bump in pay, I don't know if I would consider 175 to 225 a huge bump in pay, but you would hope that, Brian Maggard stepped up a little bit, and I don't know if that forces Texas Tech to go to 300,000. That's a big bump in pay. You go 175 to 300,000. As someone who's been to Lubbock, it's a nice little town. If the wind's blowing in the wrong direction, you know where you are. I'm just going to say that. It is kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's that. I would say Lafayette's nicer than Lubbock. I'm not saying that just because of the hometown. It's not like he's going to Austin or Tuscaloosa or Baton Rouge, for that fact of the matter. Or he's going to Ole Miss or Gainesville or something like that, or Columbia, South Carolina. He's going to Lubbock. Waco would be better than Lubbock. You know? So, yeah, to me, there's got to be something more. And again, don't tell me I got a better chance of winning at Texas Tech. He doesn't. He doesn't. He's going to be behind. Let me see what the Big 12 softball standings were this year. Okay. So obviously Texas actually won the conference this year, although they lost the national championship. So Texas and Oklahoma State. All right. And if you go back, they only had like 8 teams like last year. I can see the standings. Wow, we already got like 40 people checking in here. Nice. 39. Thanks so much. And are we dealing? I still haven't gotten a cord. Am I dealing with some bad Wi-Fi here? That's not good. All right. Softball standings. How many teams you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 teams this year. You're going to be without Texas and Oklahoma. So, Oklahoma State was 49-12. That's pretty good. But then it falls off. Baylor, we know about Baylor. They actually struggle a little bit, 36-23. And then UCF was 12-15. They're 31-25 overall. Texas Tech finished 29-21. They were 8-16. Iowa State is bad. Houston is bad. I'll be the first to tell you I don't know who's coming over. Cincinnati? Isn't Cincinnati going to the Big 12? Do they not have a softball team? I don't know. But in 23, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They only had 7 teams in 23, and Texas Tech was dead last, 5-13. Again, this is not a rebuild. This is a build. This is not some coach struggled. The coach who was there bailed. Right? He moved up and decided being an assistant at Tennessee was better than being the head coach at Texas Tech. That's a little something is off there. All right. Like this may be, is it an impossible job? Again, a friend of mine said he's a really good recruiter, and he is. But you can't even recruit that you get a chance to play Texas and Oklahoma anymore. Right? Either the best team you're playing is Oklahoma State and Baylor. Now, maybe that gives you a better chance to win, but let's see when he gets to the NCAAs, And then we'll see. Then the next question is who comes here. Foote did a good job of, who did I erase that? I may have erased that. Found out about that. Ellison, is it Haybets? I mean, my goodness. She was prolific. I mean, do we need to find out if she played basketball and softball for the Cajuns? Was she pulling a Deion Sanders, playing 2 sports on the same day? How great would that be? Now, she retired, which I did not know before all this. She retired following last season. Apparently, mom isn't doing well. All right. Haybets began her stint in Alabama following a 4-year career in women's professional baseball. She joined the pitching rotation with the Colorado Silver Bullets professional baseball team in 1995. She's playing pro ball. After spending 2 years fighting the issue in state courts, Haybets became the first female in the state of Louisiana to play high school baseball, garnering all district honors as a first baseman and pitcher at Notre Dame here in Crowley. That's crazy. She's a trailblazer, while earning all state honors as a basketball player. Haybets excelled in the classroom, representing NDHS class of 1990 as its salutatorian. Is that how you say that? Salutatorian, right? So that's number 2, right? Pretty good. Before earning academic scholarship, at the time was USL, now the Cajuns, where she earned a basketball scholarship. While displaying her talents as a basketball player, Haybets was a member of the softball team, earning 3rd team All-American, All-South region, All-Louisiana academic All-American honors with the Cajuns. At the time, Patrick Murphy was a coach here for UL. How about that? They went to the 1993 College World Series. As a member of the basketball team, Haybetts set her name in the record book, settling at number 7 on the all-time career scoring list, 1,000 point club. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in communications in 95. 2006 inductee in the Louisiana High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame. She also enshrined in the Cajun Sports Hall of Fame, where she's inducted in 2003. Okay, so now reports are out there that it's her job. If she wants to, I'm sure, that's the first, I guess apparently that was the first phone call Brian Maggard made. And, I don't know what the situation is with mom. Hopefully everything's okay. I don't know if she's wanting to come back. Right. But Foot did, and I don't know if I have access to it. I probably should be paying for the subscription. But Foot put out there, you can go find it, who is on the list of potential candidates from the Southeastern coach, the McNeese coach. There's some other guys in there. Mike Roberts, the former pitching coach under the Cajuns. Who does Glasco take as current coaches? Shelley Landry right now. I mean, I don't think, she just got here. She's coached a little bit. I don't think she's ready to this job. That's a big job. So Haybetts is on there. Rick Freeman, Southeastern head coach. They went to the regionals for the first time ever. James Landreneau from McNeese, right? He had a really good year last year, though he blew that 7th inning lead. Howard Dobson is an LSU assistant. Mark Montgomery, former La Tech coach. All right. Recently, the head coach at Maryland, where he resigned after the 23 season for personal reasons. And you have Mike Roberts. So again, I'll be the first to tell you that it's one thing when we're doing, JJ Redick getting an NBA gig in the assistants, and then you may know those names. Mike Roberts, sure. And I'm fascinated by Allison Haybetts. I don't know if that's how you say her name. But that's outstanding. I mean, I remember being in minor league ball. I remember the Silver Bullets. That was very cool. They were always in Baseball America and probably a little bit, on ESPN at the time. But she's a trailblazer playing high school baseball and better than all the boys, or just as good anyways. So we'll see. It's important to kind of do a thorough job search, and at the same time make it fast, because you got to keep the girls. You got to keep. This team is still together, and if you can keep, is it Hunter Veach? The defensive coordinator, who, unfortunately that faltered at the end of the year. But the reason they were so good is because they were so good defensively. It took a little bit. They weren't good to begin with because they were learning on how to field the ball. Like, instead of fielding with your glove, you're fielding with your feet and your eyes, I guess, something along those lines. And they led the nation in double plays. And that's huge, because those things are not turned in softball. Because, barely on a ground ball, right? It's always bang, bang, right? You're not getting, people aren't out by 2 steps in softball. They're out by a half a step, right? And double plays are even more so. So we'll see what Glasco does for his coaching staff. And I wouldn't be surprised if he takes Hunter with him, right? And that's why you need to kind of move quickly if you want this person to remain on the staff. So a little turmoil. Of course, the portal, which I think was closed, now is open back for 30 days. I just think this was going to be the year for Cajun softball to get back to Oklahoma City. You get a couple more girls in the circle, and maybe you have a big bat. The first baseman was coming back. I don't know if you add a big back. Like, they didn't have a Carly Heath, right? They didn't have that 1 or 2 big bats that were consistently great. A lot of them were clutch, but not consistently great as they've had in the past, right? So we'll see. So that's so that was the big news yesterday. Hey, we're already up to 55 on a Friday afternoon, on a Friday morning on a Schultze cast. Lockdown Sunbelt, by the way. We did Glasgow to Texas Tech, and then we did also Arkansas State, Jalen Rayner, can he take the next step? Really a pretty good freshman year, 17-7, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Take that all day. If he goes to 25 and 10 and throws for over 3,000 yards, you take that. Now, he didn't come in until the third game, and he really didn't come in until the end of the third game against Stony Brook, because the first game was Oklahoma, and we don't want to kill a freshman, either literally or figuratively. Excuse me. And so that's the big thing for Lock on Sunbelt, kind of doing the previews of the previews with these teams. We've done Texas State, because I think it's the year of the Bobcats. We've done Arkansas State. We've done and the Cajuns. All right. App State's probably up next. All right. I'm a little bit behind in the month. I got to figure out how many more I got to do, because I only have to do 12 episodes this month. I think I've only done, I'm not sure I've done half. We took a little time off. Did have, as far as I'm concerned, did have a conversation yesterday. Seemed to be a good conversation. If you want to call it an interview, we can do that. It was a 30-minute deal that lasted 50. It is not in the broadcasting industry. It is in something completely different. It's not a wild stretch. If you know me, what it might be in, we'll go over it when that is decided. I am going home on Sunday for 2 weeks. They knew that. I can move quickly because it's just me. We may have to make a couple of trips because of what I'm bringing with me, and you can't really ship that in a truck. So we'll see. Couple other things out there as well. As someone who does not count his chickens, with good reason, because it tends to get screwed up, and I don't need a reminder of that. That just happened. So we're it was a good conversation. There's one question they asked, and I can't remember what I told them. Like, I took notes on what they were telling me. I didn't take notes on what I was telling them. Well, they asked some good questions. I asked some good questions. The one question I didn't ask, and I forgot. They don't have a lot of social media going on right now. They kind of stopped doing that. It seems like there could be a little opening from moi, at least to help out. I don't so we'll see. Again, I don't know what their timeline is. It's gone pretty fast. I've had 2 conversations in less than a week. I applied last Thursday, and I talked to somebody on Monday, and I talked to more people yesterday. So it's moving along. So we'll see. Again, I thought the conversation went very well. So again, who knows? All right. Rickwood Classic. That was tremendous last night in Birmingham, with so many of the former Negro Leaguers there. Fox did a great job. Field of Dreams a couple of times, and now to Birmingham. And I don't know if he stole the show, but boy, he was honest. Reggie Jackson really came across as saying, coming back here was not easy, right? There's not anybody. I mean, I just don't think there's anybody more cocky or confident than Reggie Jackson, right? Bonds may be on that level. How would you have faced, what would you have done against Satchel Paige? It's like, I'm going deep, right? I'm gone. And basically explained, I got to have confidence in myself. If I don't have confidence in myself, nobody else will. So, I mean, how do you talk about that? Well, I don't know how I would have done against Satchel Paige. Anyways, so Reggie Jackson kind of said this was tough, and he credited a bunch of his white teammates. Like, he was there in the 60s, right? Willie was there in the late 40s and early 50s. Maybe he was already gone by then, but he was there he was there like right when Jackie Robinson was getting going and leaving the Negro Leagues and breaking the color barrier. But Reggie was there some 20 years later, like 67, 68. And I mean, he dropped the N-word a couple of times. He didn't have a problem the third time he said N-word, but he dropped the N-word as the way people would talk to him. And no one interrupted him, and no one cut him off. He credited Raleigh Fingers. He credited The Rudies, he credited his manager, John McNamara, right? John McNamara gets blamed for 86 all the time, although I guess that's for putting Buckner in or leaving Buckner in at first base or whatever the case is. I didn't know any of that about John McNamara. I never heard any of that, right? We're not talking about a Brooklyn's Dodger manager or anything like that. John McNamara stood up for Reggie Jackson. If we couldn't eat at that restaurant, we went down the street. If we couldn't stay at that hotel, we went down the street, right? They're playing it. I presume that's the Southern League. You're staying in, segregated cities. They went out to Oakland and, he was kicked out of Chuck Finley's. Is it Charles Finley? Yeah, the owner of the A's golf course, which back in the 60s or 70s, and Finley goes, "We're leaving. We'll go down to the diner and have hamburgers." And then they allowed him to come back in. So he credited a lot of people with helping him go through. I guess he had to leave the Rudy's apartment because they threatened to burn it down. So it was eye-opening, right? And good for Reggie for saying that stuff, because we don't hear about a lot of that stuff. And good for Fox for just letting it play out. South Alabama's Brendan Donnelly hits a home run, right? I didn't know he was born in Germany. I didn't know that. But grew up in Alabama, went to South Alabama, hits a home run in Alabama in the first Major League Baseball game ever in Alabama. Pretty cool. They had a picture of Brandon Crawford, who, by the way, is struggling in a big way, right? He was so good for the Giants for so long, but now he's on St. Louis and just flat struggling. He's got a picture of Willie Mays picking him up as a kid. That's great stuff. So good for Major League Baseball for doing this. They are doing some things right. I don't mind the ghost runner, if you will. It's not a ghost runner. I would, as much as others, I would wait until the 12th inning to do that if you want to really save pitching. I know it's a gimmick, but let's play 2 extra innings to see if it gets saved, right? Let's wait till the 12th. And I don't know if that would change strategy at all, that we're just waiting to the 12th inning. I don't know if you can't really run out the clock in baseball. But let's give the 10th and 11th innings to play regular baseball, and then we can save, because we don't want, obviously they're trying to avoid going 15 or 16 innings or 18, 19, which is fun back in the day, but you're kind of screwed up for the rest of the week, maybe 2 weeks, right? So I would extend it. I would, the runners don't get on there until the 12th. But Adam Shine went off on Manfred. Yeah, he doesn't. He's like, does Manfred like baseball? I don't think he does. I don't. I'm not sure about Rob Manfred in baseball. He killed like 40 minor league baseball teams in a place where you're not within a day's drive of going to a major league game. What are we doing? So, the clock and throwing over to first base, and we're going to get computer umpires because they're just, not good. Chris Guccione, who I think I saw come up through the minors, he even said he was not great. John Boy did one of his replays, and he goes, I went to bed at 3 a.m. He's saying I wasn't good. Sometimes you're not good. I'm trying my best. He'd already thrown out the player and or the manager, and sometimes you don't have a real response to that. But anyways, the thing yesterday was outstanding. From Major League Baseball's point of view. Let me see. See what else we get here. I guess LSU's getting more and more guys, maybe some D1 guys, which is nice. Or I should put some Power 5 guys. So that's good. We did that. Oh, here's the thing that is striking, right? For those who don't know, there's some NFL teams that are looking for stadiums. Dave Tepper in Charlotte wants money from the city. The Chiefs got voted down, by the way. This went to a public offering, a public vote, and it got voted down. The Chiefs are in Missouri. They're in Kansas City, Missouri, but they are right on the border. As someone who has made that drive at least twice. They are right there. I mean, it is 2 stadiums, and then you're into Kansas. But they're into Kansas City, Missouri. Like they had a vote that they were going to move to downtown Kansas City. I don't know if you do. Actually, Carolina's football stadium is in downtown Charlotte. Anyone else in downtown? I mean, Jacksonville's right there. St. Louis had the Dome downtown. New Orleans is downtown. LA's is out in the outskirts. I guess Detroit's now downtown. So a lot of them are downtown. Okay. I think of the Patriots are out in Foxborough and the Jets and Giants are, so a lot of them are downtown. Okay. Cincinnati's downtown. But they don't want to pay for them. I don't have a problem with cities and local governments ponying up for infrastructure, the land. We'll cover some costs. But we shouldn't have to pay for the stadium. And it's not the same thing as a car manufacturer or a big job mover to the city, right? So Alabama has 2 major car manufacturers, Mercedes and Hyundai, right? Hyundai's in Montgomery and Mercedes just outside of Tuscaloosa. And Kia, I think, is just on the border of Alabama and Georgia. So you hit Georgia and you see the Kia plant like immediately. It's like it's not in Atlanta. It's right over the border. They get a bunch of tax abatements and, incentives to come, but they're bringing 4,000 jobs. They're bringing a bunch of jobs with them. And I think at the beginning, maybe it was kind of 1-to-1, which is interesting. Like, I think I read that Hyundai got like $250 million worth of incentives, and they were building a plant that was like $300 million or $356 million or something like that. But now the plant is like $1.8 billion. Like they have given much more than the incentives, much more. Kansas City wants the owners of Kansas City, Chiefs, anyways. Should be 2 different owners, right? The Hunts don't own the Royals, but maybe it's a group effort because the stadiums are right, literally in the same parking lot type of deal, right next to each other. They only want to pay like 30%. They want to come up. I thought I read it was like $3 billion was the effort. And they only want to pay like $600 million. And they want the government to pay the rest. No, to me, it's the other way. The government can come up with a $600 million, which is still a lot of money for a private franchise. But you pay for the stadium, kind of like Hyundai and Mercedes paid for their plants. They build the plants. They got the land, they get the infrastructure, right? Yeah, I mean, I think part of it was, again, they were doing it in the middle of nowhere. This is just outside Montgomery. This is about 5 minutes outside Montgomery. There's nothing there except the plant. So I think part of it was a fire station in case something happens. And if we're building a community out there, where are people going to live? And you got to get water and you got to get roads. And so that costs money. So again, I don't have a problem with that. I do have an issue when the owners like Dave Tepper want the city to build a stadium. All right. The people who did this, who screwed everybody as of right now, are the Marlins. Like, I don't think the Marlins paid out of $500 million or $600 million or whatever it was. And apparently the bill is going to be up to like $2.4 billion. Like the Marlins screwed the taxpayers, but the Marlins didn't come up with a little money. They came up with a little money. Like, I'm not even sure they paid $100 million into this. And if you flip it, I would have been fine, right? Like the Marlins pay $400 million and the community pays $100 million. That's okay. I don't have any problem with that. That's the way business is. But that's not what happens in Major League Sports. Louisiana's kind of stuck, right? You kind of need the Saints, although I'm not sure where the Saints are going. Where are these teams fleeting to? Oakland, right? Oklahoma City, like Oklahoma City got rolled over. Let's see. They're building a new arena for the Thunder. Thunder new arena cost? All right. Okay. The new arena would be built at a minimum of $900 million. This is comparable to the NBA's newest arenas that have been built for $500 to $1 billion. There will be a primary. The arena will be primarily funded by an extension of the city's temporary 1-cent sales tax, which is currently funding whatever maps for. Okay, so this is the Oklahoma. Okay. Are the owners paying for any of this? No, you need a subscription. Sorry. Okay, here you go. I mean, this is outrageous. I mean, this is how millionaires and billionaires stay millionaires and billionaires. Under the plan before the voters, which they passed, by the way, the new arena would cost at least $900 million, with the Thunder owners chipping in 5% or $50 million, and another $70 million coming from an previously approved sales tax. The team would also agree to stay in the city for 25 years. I mean, it's really ridiculous, right? The Oklahoma City Thunder, purchased by a group of local businessmen for $325 million, now valued at $3 billion. These guys have made almost $2.7 billion, and they're going to tell us they can't afford $1 billion arena. A local realtor and organizer of the group opposing it. All right. Singer and others also voiced concerns about the lack of price caps in the $900 million cost projection, and then said there's no ironclad guarantee the owners will stay in Oklahoma City even if the arena is built, although it says they were supposed to stay there for 25 years. All right. Yeah, that's my problem. All right. That's my issue. Like, it's a good deal if you can get it, right? I can't blame the owners for trying, right? Now, Kansas City said no, right? You've won back-to-back Super Bowls. You guys can pony up. We'll help a little bit, but not all, right? And here's the other thing. The high-paying jobs for teams are the players. That's who are making all the money, right? And a few executives. Outside of maybe the general manager and the president, I don't know if the director of sales or the vice president of sales is pulling in a 7-figure salary, maybe a high 6-figure salary, right? And a lot of these car places, and apparently there's a whole union thing going on. I'm not going to get into that. But, these car manufacturing jobs, they do solid high 5-figure salaries and low 6-figure salaries for their employees, right? It would be more if it were unionized, but again, not going to get into that. You work in sports, they tell you we got 100 people that could do your job. You're going to take the 40 grand and be happy with it. Right? We'll give you a little bit of raise. If you don't want to do this, go somewhere else. We'll find somebody else to do it. So I'm just not a big believer in that. I understand what it's all about. Let's see, what's Jacksonville doing? Like, Jacksonville got on the hook, right? Like, Shad Khan was threatening to go to England, I guess. Jacksonville new stadium. All right. Now, they've been working on this from the get-go, and they really do need a new stadium. All right. So they agreed on a $1.4 billion project, and of course, all the media there was for it. Okay. This is May 15th, 2024. Okay. The Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium of the future is a go. This is Jeff Kerr, CBSSports.com. Franchise in the city came to an agreement on $1.4 billion on Tuesday. The proposal will see each side, contribute $625 million to the project, and Jacksonville, is that the city? Would chip in another $150 million to get Everbank Stadium ready for construction beginning in 2026. The team will also not include any new taxes to pay for the rebuild. Okay, not sure if I understand what that means. With the construction set to begin in 2025, the Jaguars would play in front of a reduced capacity crowd in 2026 and then host games in either Gainesville or in Orlando in 2027. I mean, the stadium looks fantastic. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of a futuristic stadium, and they'll probably get the Super Bowl again. So at least in this case, they are splitting it, right? At least that's the case. Whereas, they don't want to, these other places don't want to do it. Let's see what Tepper wants to do. Let's see here. Dave Tepper. I mean, I think Dave Tepper wants Charlotte to pay for all of it. They had a deal in like South Carolina and it didn't work out. Let's see here. Dave Tepper is the odd owner of the Panthers. Athlon Sports. All right. Cam Newton warns billionaire Dave Tepper as Panthers beg for $650 million for stadium renovations. All right. So Cam went on his podcast to say it. Okay. Carolina Panthers and Charlotte FC have a they claim that's the oldest stadium in the NFL. I don't know if I buy that. A Gator Bowl's been around a lot longer. Panthers have installed huge screens, new bathrooms and seats, overall increased accessibility to Bank America Stadium, which is projected to cost a whopping $650 million. And the money is supposed to come from the city tourism and hospitality tax fund. Like Tepper doesn't want to pay for any of that. Come on. Like what's Dave Tepper worth? And I appreciate him asking because, that's how you get the deal. You don't even want to split it. Like Dave Tepper's worth $20 billion. He's 66 years of age. Where's the money going? You could be like a local Charlotte hero. I'm going to pony it up, right? Give me tax abatements, give me a little infrastructure. You guys come up with 150 million. I'll pay the 500 million. Jeez. 20 billion. I don't know if we understand how much money that is. That is an outrageous amount of money. He's not the only jobs he's going to create with that are the construction jobs that are going to last 2 more years. He's not hiring any more people to, entice people to come. It is. I mean, I used to say this with my producer. I mean, there's gutsy, like Jacksonville saying we'll split it, and then there's ballsy, where Tepper's saying, we don't want to split it. Even Kansas City wants to chip in 30%, which is a good chunk of change, but it should be the other way around. Yeah, I don't buy that. Because when the car manufacturers or big plants come in, whatever it might be, they usually are bringing a bunch of jobs with them, and they're the ones building the plant. They just want the land and the infrastructure. They're the ones still pointing up for the plant. Let's see what the Mercedes plant was. Let me see here. Mercedes plant cost in Tuscaloosa. All right. All right. And a surprise decision. So this is, if you Google this is 1993. In a surprise decision, Mercedes-Benz will announce today plans to build a $300 million assembly plant in rural Alabama, ending a 2-year search for the site. Okay. That's in 1993. And I think they got about $250 million in land and infrastructure. So it was almost a 1-to-1 deal. Okay. September 2022. I'm sorry, September 22nd, 2017. So 24 years later. The investment of $1.3 billion is the largest for an industrial expansion in Tuscaloosa County's history. Mercedes plant now 6 times as large as the facility. That was 7 years ago. That's worth the investment. The amount of people that are working there, the taxes that come from with it, every time they build, that's been worth it. Dave Tepper and everybody else wants the government to pay for the stadium and then the government to fix the stadium, but the team gets all the revenue from the stadium, right? And again, the Saints are kind of stuck. It is kind of hand in hand. They're kind of doing this together. What are we doing here? Superdome upgrades, right? We're doing this for the Super Bowl. Superdome upgrades, right? So this was Superdome upgrades and renovations. This was August 2023. They've had a last phase of $535 million. This came out. This is Fox 8. So this came out in February this year. So this doesn't include even the the recent negotiations that came out. All right. So let's see. Does it say who paid for what? Superdome reservations originally were projected to cost $450, but the cost has escalated to $535. It does not say. All right. Let's see here. Caesars Superdome undergoing $500 million. This is CBS Sports. Feels like everybody went to the same press conference. Time frame does not say paying for it. All right. Sports Business Journal. Everyone's got the same picture. I don't feel like this was 1-to-1, but again, I guess they're kind of stuck here. Both of them are kind of stuck. You can't move the Saints because, I mean, the Saints are, that is synonymous with New Orleans, right? That would be a huge pushback if that ever happened, admittedly. All right, let's see here. The result was a Legends managed $535 million renovation. So here you go. $303 million from the Louisiana Sports and Exposition District. That's the government, I guess, the local government. $178 million from the Saints. So not quite 2-to-1. And $54 million from the state. So the Saints pay, so the state and the local exposition district, if you will, coming up with $350 million to the Saints, $178. All right. I mean, again, not great, but I guess that's the cost of doing business. All right. And the Superdome is so connected and so important, Essence Festival and the Sugar Bowl. And now you're going to have football national championships in there and football semifinals in there. And all the great concerts that come in. Right. And, now what's going to happen is they're going to have to figure out the Smoothie King Center. Like the issues that we just went through a couple weeks ago, which all took all of, a little public posturing and it got done. Like the Saints hadn't paid for whatever they were supposed to pay for. And Saints hadn't seen the plans. And that came out on like a Monday and everything was done by Thursday. Right. It was just some public posturing, which is fine. But they also said that the upgrades to the Smoothie King Center were on hold, which is also a great place for concerts, right? That may not be able to fill the dome. Although the Saints and the Pelicans all of a sudden seem to be, they both were kind of on the rise, right? You get Zion in 19 and you're still fighting with Breeze, and that went by the wayside, and COVID hit and Breeze retired. Zion hasn't quite turned out to be what we were hoping he would be. And, you got the Spurs in Oklahoma City and Sacramento. Crazy. So we'll see what happens there. But I am not a big believer in that municipalities should be paying for the stadium. They can pay for the infrastructure, but they shouldn't be paying for the stadium. That's just a me thing. And I don't compare it to, car manufacturers who want the infrastructure, but actually pay for the plants. The other big news yesterday was JJ Redick getting the Lakers job. That's amazing. I did hear Evan Cohen talk about that today on Unsportsman. Like, what would JJ Redick say about somebody who had no coaching experience getting the Lakers job? Certainly don't blame JJ Redick for taking it. I don't care how long LeBron is staying or if we got to pick Bronny James or not. I get to coach the Lakers. People are comparing it to Pat Riley. I'm not sure that's the case, but okay. Going from broadcaster, although Riley was the assistant when Magic won the first championship. So that's fascinating. I love the NBA offseason, right? I mean, draft is next week. It ended early because, series got settled in 4. Draft is next week. Free agents right after that. The Olympics are after that. And training camp is shortly after that, right? The Olympics are at the end of July. Training camp starts in September. There's not a lot of downtime for these NBA guys as much as, football guys, right? I mean, football, if you're not in the postseason, I guess same thing with basketball, actually, right? So if you're not in the postseason, your season ends in April, right? May, June, July, August, September, like 5 full months, mid-April to mid-September. You get 5 months off. Celtics and the Mavs, July, August, they're not even going to get 3 months off if they're in the Olympics. And you presume the guys, we'll see who's on the Olympic team and who's not. I guess we know Team USA. I don't know off the top of my head, but we don't know if Doncic is going to play. Again, he's got a game against Giannis, like first week of July, if he's healthy enough to do so, right? Normally, if there's no Olympics, he would just be shutting it down for a month or so because he's not healthy. All right, anything happening today? I don't know. What I need to do, because I am going home for 2 weeks and I always overpack. So I'm going to start packing. It's odd. I really don't have to start packing until Sunday because my flight home is until 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Like I'm not leaving my place until like 4:45. I get to the airport at 5. I will be fine, right? That's the best part about flying out of Lafayette. There's no lines, at least I don't think so in the evening. Maybe first thing in the morning there is. But because I want to take home, I got to take home my podcast arrangement. I am flying silver medalist, if that's a thing, right? So I got free upgrade of seats. I did ask for first class. I don't know if I have to pay for them. There is some first class available. So we'll see if I get that. I don't have to check in until tomorrow. So I can, we'll see if we can fit everything in one bag. That's generally not the case. Because then I can bring, T-shirts and extra socks to work out in. Now I don't have to bring 24 or a dozen because you just wash them. I got mom, I can, I'll throw them in Mama Schultz's washing machine. She won't do the laundry. I'll do the laundry. So I don't have to bring as much. I used to bring I'm going home for 10 days. I need 10 T-shirts. No, don't need to do that. So, but we do make room for bourbon is what we do. Now, I'm checking my bag anyways, which is free. At least for now. So then I can, bring the backpack on and bring a little rolling bag on with, T-shirts, underwear, shoes, stuff that don't necessarily have to be packed nicely. And that what that does is now it leaves, the big suitcase isn't at 45 pounds. And how many bottles you can get in there. You probably can't take home more than 2. But you never know. You never know. I saw 2 that I could get, but we haven't gone shopping up there. And you never know what might be up there. As I said in Fayetteville, I just let it. Well, sorry, I'm going home to Fayetteville. But where I was a couple weeks ago, they had some stuff that if I knew I was going back, if I knew I wasn't going back, I would have picked up. Although I only had the rollaway case, and I was bringing some back for somebody, so I'm not sure if I would have been able to get 2 in there. You don't want them to hit each other. Although I probably could have stuck that in my laundry. I hit Orange Theory 3 times, so I had some stinky laundry. So what's the difference? Put the bottle in there, and I think it would have fit. So we'll see. We want to make sure we have room for that. All right. So if we do get a Ragin' Cajun softball coach, I'll probably do an emergency, Schulte cast or Lockdown Sunbelt. Before that, again, I think I'm a little short on my Lockdown Sunbelt podcast. I may have to do one all next week. I have to do a minimum of 12 or don't get paid. And I think I did 4 this week. And I got 1. So I may have only done 5 so far. So maybe I've done more. It'd be better if I had done 8. Got to get it done before June 30th. So that when is June 30th? So, so it's got to be next week. So yeah, I got to do 1, 2. I may have to do 5 next week. All right. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. 77. I mean, we're starting to get over 100, at least on Twitter. I got to transfer that to YouTube because that's where the cash comes. But really appreciate it. I am sorry to see Jerry Glasco go. I do want to hear if there's more to the story. If it is just as dealing with his daughter's death, then that's fine. Don't need an explanation more than that. But there's no rebuild at Texas Tech. He's going to build Texas Tech. They've been a bad softball program. You are not taking over for what, he's not taking over if Patrick Murphy decided to retire from Alabama, that he's going to take over Alabama. No. He's going to build Texas Tech. We'll see how much that tears down the Cajuns and who the Cajuns get. They could get someone very quickly. We shall see. Can't really take all that time. You got the holiday coming up. I presume they're going to have a decision here sooner rather than later. I'd be surprised. I'm going to say the over-under is Monday. Honestly, I'd be surprised if this went a week. And technically, it's already, tonight would be 2 days. So some sources have been telling reporters that the decision was made Wednesday night. I presume, Jerry was in touch with Maggard through the whole situation. So Maggard has known for, 36 hours, if not longer. I presume this didn't start on Wednesday. So, Maggard got a list going right beforehand. So I'm sure that ball has been rolling maybe longer than we had thought, right? While we were waiting for an answer on Thursday, maybe Maggard had that thing. Maggard did that sneaky little, his tweet yesterday morning. So I got off quickly. I got off the Schultze cast saying that he was going to stay. And I think Foote, by the time I did that, Foote had confirmed he was leaving. But Brian Maggard sent out a little tweet with the sun rising, and all he said was, as expected. So trying to figure that out. I'm like, what's he trying to say? Oh, the sun's coming up again today. All right. So at that point in time, that's when I realized he was gone. And 2 minutes later, Foote put out his deal that he was gone. So Maggard's already been working on this certainly since Wednesday, if not all day yesterday. He's doing a bunch of interviews yesterday. So, the proverbial ball is rolling, and, he wants to take his vacation too, which I'm sure is going to involve, next weekend or whenever the 4th is in 2 weekends. So he's going to have to get this deal done sooner rather than later. So we'll be surprised if he does not do if he doesn't get the hire done by Monday. All right. When it's announced is something different, but we'll see. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the Schultze cast. Have a great weekend. Please subscribe. Boy, we did this an hour and 82. So it is certainly growing. So I appreciate you guys hopping on just to do it consistently. And so that's nice. I was actually ready this morning. I slept well last night. I don't know why I slept well. Maybe I was tired from the day before. Maybe it was the makers and diets. Thank you so much for hopping on. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday.